I was always rebelling a fair bit. Dad walked out when I was very young. Like when you're working in Swanston Street, King Street, St Kilda,
That's
I
right.
went to two murder trials. I'd have guys get glass some nights, their faces hanging off, and they said, "You're now VP." There was a fire at one of my shops. Became a born again Christian. I got baptized when I got out. Like I say, I'm not trying to preach. Having some faith, massive.
Young soldier of God, steady march.
Yo, it's your boy Dave here, and this is the Fallon Show. Hope all is going well out there. God bless you all. How about you introduce yourself, my bro, and where you're from?
Zoltan Banyai, from Melbourne, Victoria, Australia.
Man, like I said, bro, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, man. So the brother Zoltan here. As you can see, man, this is a show about redemption, and Zoltan's no stranger to that. You know, he's a man that's worn many hats in his life. He was involved in bodybuilding, and actually got quite high up there. And he is a man that's been involved in the club scene. He's unfortunately ended up in prison by the towards the end, but it's a place where not only him but a lot of us get to reevaluate our lives and really see and be appreciative of what we have out here. You know, so man, I mean, how long you been out of jail for now?
Well, I remember, like I was saying to you, that we spoke about 2 years ago, um, and it's been about 2 years now. But yeah, man, just to try and sometimes, yourself, to get your life back on track, having a CRM number and getting a job, um, it's not very easy, and it's the discrimination you tend to get, and that's why, let's face it, bro, with the time you were there as well, how many faces you go, didn't you just leave, and they're back again. When you're desperate, you sometimes people do stupid things to put food on the table. Let's face it, cost of living, I know in Australia, it's just getting more and more hard to provide. The family unit's breaking down, and people are doing, and desperate, man. People are doing stupid. A lot of people are shoplifting, and even shop, like I shop at Aldi to try and keep the costs down. And even the manager there is saying that older people are shoplifting, like because they can't afford meat, because they can't put on the heater. Just interest rates going up, petrol going up, utilities going up, food's going up. Where does it end?
Look, bro, to start off with, man, I mean, so whereabouts are you from, man, in Melbourne there?
I'm in the Dandenong area, so you
Oh,
guys probably know
you
that.
from Dandy?
I was originally there. Now I'm on the peninsula. So now I'm on the peninsula area.
Did you go school out in Dandy or?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I went to Dandy Tech first. Then they got shut down. Um, that was a rough. That was a really rough school, man.
Are you
So,
Albanian or are you Eastern
no,
European
I'm
or?
Hungarian. I'm Hungarian. But I grew up in William Avenue, which all the Albanians were there.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
bought my first
Albanian
little,
boys out there.
yeah, oh yeah. A lot of Albanian boys. So, and I was always good with them. They showed me dignity and respect. And being that you're a bigger guy, you get that. And I just made sure that we just, yeah, we were good, man. Everyone was good there, and we had our own little thing that we were doing. And yeah, there's just there's a lot of gyms, a lot of bodybuilding, and then there's the fight game, the kickboxing, and the MMA gyms, and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, just, and then I was, I don't know, I was always rebelling a fair bit. Dad walked out when I was very young, so I was pretty upset about that. And mum tried her best, man. But I think I was always, there's that one child that's difficult. That was me, bro. And yeah,
Well, when did you get into training and all of that? Was that early
I
on
started
or?
when I was 14, man. I started when I
Wow.
was 14 because I was bullied and picked on when I was younger. We just sort of we rolled with the punches, and that's why I guess That's why I started training. That's why I started doing my bodybuilding and a bit of kickboxing and stuff like that, because you sort of, I was a pretty quiet kid and pretty, reserved. I just loved, animals, and, you're just a kid, you know what I mean? So then you start getting bullied and picked on, and then you just go, eventually, I'm not going to take this anymore. So you start, hitting the weights and all that sort of stuff. And I grew pretty quick. I was always athletic. By the age of 18, I already started security.
Wow.
18, I started security back then as
So
well,
was
bro.
that at the clubs and stuff?
Yeah. Like my older brother, he was head of security in a place called Stylus. That night we had a massive punch on with about 12 sailors from Cerberus. And yeah, it was pretty easy to say the least. So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So that's the first night.
Yeah, thrown in the deep end. That's how it was, man. And you didn't even have to have a license back then. You just got a probationary through the Private Agents Act, and you had to do your course within a year. That was it.
Can you sort of paint a picture of, the whole bouncing scene? I mean, I've had a few brothers who have been on the show who ended up becoming club members and stuff, but it had sort of, the bouncing scene sort of had, sort of opened that world up to them. So can you paint a picture of
100%.
what the bouncing scene is like?
Depends on where you work. Look, I started off as stylist. That's Furniture Gully. Then 21st Century in Frankston. But then I ended up being part owners in a security company. Yeah, so I can sort of talk, and being a bigger guy, you got a presence. And I started a company called Gravity Control with the two other mates of mine who were security guys, and we started in-house, and we started off with a couple of strip clubs, a couple of venues, and we built it up to about 12 venues. And then eventually I sold it off when I lost my license. But then I started working in the city. That's when it all changes. And it depends on the street in the city that you're working in. Like when you're working in Swanston Street, King Street, St Kilda, and even I ended up working in Chinatown. You know what I mean? I was working for, all I did was sit at the bar with an earpiece on in a suit when the guards couldn't deal. I'm not saying I'm some, whatever, but there's certain people who can resolve issues and talk. And being a bigger guy, especially with the Asian community, they really respect that. So I was working in Chinatown, and you meet a lot of interesting individuals. Like they're rocking up in Rolls Royces and Lambos and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a next level, and it's like it's some of it's 5-star karaoke. Believe it or not, they're into their karaoke. So, but some of the nights they would drop 50, 60 grand in a room.
So beside you getting into the security and bouncing and stuff like that, so beside this, you're doing the bodybuilding consistently as well, isn't it? And you're actually making a name for yourself with the bodybuilding as well.
Yeah, look, I started competing when I was about 20. Won the juniors, like.
Well, bro, like before you go into that, like, how were you at 20? Like, what sort of guy were you by that point? So you've been doing security for 2 years by this point. Like, what?
I was a hothead, man. I was a hothead. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was a hothead, and I was knocking around with some serious guys as well. I didn't realize how serious.
Sorry to interrupt you, but so like to do things like what you were doing, so you started your own security firm and you're doing, and you're, climbing the ladder in that scene. So is there a certain amount of respect required, bro, to make those moves?
Definitely.
So you pretty much got to be known as a hothead, is it? Pretty much to start.
You know what I mean? You do. Oh, look. Oh, yeah. I was trying not to go down that path, but yeah, you do, man. Look, You do. You do. You got to do some. You got to do some bad things to bad things to people. And let's face it, with bodybuilding, you're using certain things as well that make you aggressive. And I think it was just because, I was an angry kid because dad walked out and all that sort of stuff as well, man. I was not dealing with a lot of issues and a lot of
Mm.
problems. And
And we definitely won't downplay that, bro. I mean, your dad walking out on you. I mean, bro, one
yeah,
thing that I've found on this show and in my own life and doing counseling and stuff out here, I mean, absent fathers is a huge one for our young men and boys out there,
yeah,
not having a strong male role model. It's huge, mate.
absolutely. I totally agree. That's why I try and put in so much effort with my daughter. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I think that made a massive impact on me. I had other male figures come in, but it's not your actual dad. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? My dad walked out when I was about 4 years old, bro. So
Wow.
it broke my heart. And I couldn't even really put a day together properly that we've spent together. And the last time I spoke to him, it wasn't that great. And that, yeah, you are right. Like, my best mate and I, we used to just say, just chuck us in the worst place possible. And and there was a few Usos that used to, Junior and
Yeah.
um, I used to always get along with Islanders, man. Like it always is it's a thing, hey. I
Right.
went to 2 murder trials, well, with security, where
Wow.
guys got killed in front of us, so to say. One at Stylus, another one. When I think about it, I was just a kid,
Mm.
22-year-old kid. And that
Yeah.
was like, that space was a year apart of each other. And I think it desensitized me a little bit as well,
Mm.
if that makes sense. I'd have guys get glass some nights, their face is hanging off. I'd just wrap up in a towel and hold their face together while, you know, the paramedics are coming. Some
All right.
people, some of the other guards just couldn't handle it. I could flick a switch. Not like I say, a lot of guys who, kids who are, young people ODing and convulsing,
Mm.
they're vomiting and the other guards couldn't handle it. I could switch and, I probably saved quite a few lives, but it's part of the job, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep, for sure. Well, so going back a little bit, yeah. So what? So you started getting into professional bodybuilding, would you say,
It
or
was
at 20 or
it was still amateur, but I was competing in IFBB, which is the mecca.
what led to
So
that? What sort of led you to do that?
the competing,
Yeah.
well, I think it was just due to the fact that, I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't even ever think I'd win a Victorian title. You know what I mean? I'm serious. I didn't even think I'd win that. But I just trained and I grew and just loved it. I mean, I'm still training to today.
Mm.
I'm 48, coming up in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? I'm still doing it, and obviously not competing. People say, "Why don't you do another show?" But nah, can't be bothered. But it just people talked me into it, and I did it, and I just kept winning. Like
Mm.
all my trophies say first place. So
Yeah.
I don't even know where they are. They're in a box somewhere in the garage. Hey, I
How's the
don't even have.
discipline involved in all of that with your eating and stuff like that?
It has to be an obsession to be number
Yeah.
one. It's an obsession, and I was obsessed to say the least. And you are right, man. It opens a notoriety.
Mm.
It really does. I think you might have seen on my last podcast. Adam King. He was in his 30s, and I was a 20-year-old kid, and I beat him. And the guys did not, because I did all the juniors, then I did the light heavyweights as well. So I placed top 3 in the light heavyweights, and I beat this guy Adam King, and my brother looked
Wow.
up to him massively. And I was just a 20-year-old kid, and I think that's when it cemented it to my older brother. All right, the kid's got it, the kid's got some potential. And then he used to always, sort of show me off a bit, which was a good thing. But then I had some time off and got into the party scene. It sucks you in, unfortunately, when you're in the nightclub scene. That happens.
Well, what's it like, starting to get on get on the roids and start using like that sort of stuff? I mean, how did that start for you?
My older brother, my two older brothers, because I was going to compete in the naturals. I had to say,
Yeah,
no,
you said
I had
that.
to be
Yeah, you
natty.
said
I had
that.
to be natty. And then they started, right? And they started growing and stuff. And I was just like, oh. But I said, oh, I'm going to stay natty for a while. But I trained for about 6 whole years, 7 years before I touched anything. So I had a bigger foundation. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mentioned Tren. These guys shouldn't even know what Tren is. You know what I mean? And that's why I think there's, probably there's a lot of young guys dying these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're obviously taking that with recreational drugs, especially, there's one real evil one out there, and we're all touched by a person. I mentioned it before, cancer's touching a lot of people, but ice is, next level, man. They're medicine. They're actually medicine for sick people.
Yeah.
That's what they are. Technically, that's what they are. But bodybuilders use them to surpass their sticking, and you should use them to surpass your sticking points. And when you've hit a wall, use that to surpass, not use it to build a body and have a foundation. Have a foundation first, then that's when you use it, people go, oh, what the heck? This guy's like, he looks next level. And you got to train harder because what it's doing is helping with protein synthesis. It's helping with, positive nitrogen balance. It's helping with absorbing all your amino acids and nutrients and everything like that. And it's aiding in that recovery. And obviously you do get stronger. It's a different generation now, man. Like I say, China's doing a lot of raw ingredients. People are getting stuff. They don't even know if it's 100% what it is. We used to get stuff mainly from doctors and vets. So veterinarian still has to have a massive standard. And people don't actually realize the veterinarian stuff is lower dosed than the human stuff. You know what I mean? So you got to take more, but it's it's in a lab. It's not some dude in his backyard
In the bathtub.
smoking a ciggy, maybe the crack pipe, I don't know, and he's like mixing it up in his bathtub. You know what I mean? It's different. If you're using anabolics, they tend to have to go through the liver. So that's when you get liver damage and stuff like that. Because they're not a testosterone based. Like let's say I always refer to Tren. It's 9 times more androgenic than testosterone. It was never passed for human consumption. Never. It was never passed for human consumption. And that's the first thing most guys will use to go to an event, to take their top off to look good. And it passes the blood-brain barrier and it causes scar tissue on the hippocampus. Highly, highly hepatotoxic for the liver. Causes heart damage as well.
So how was life for you going through all of this? So you're doing the comps and stuff now. You're also getting into the security. You've started your own security company with friends and stuff like that. Like, how are you during this point? You know what I mean? Like, are you wrapped with life? You know what I mean? You're doing all of this different stuff.
I was still a very angry young individual. It's funny, I had everything at my fingertips and I still wasn't happy. I was still chasing money, cars, gold, diamonds, all the materialistic stuff. I was still empty inside, man. I was still empty inside. I always put on a brave face and smiled. You can have all the most nicest materialistic stuff, but it doesn't give you inner peace. But I'll put on a smile, I'll put on a brave face and stuff like that. But it's and like the people you start hanging around with, especially in the city stuff, because when I started working at Love Machine, that opened up a big can of worms.
How old were you when you
Um,
started there?
hey,
How old were you when you started there?
later on in life, I was married. I sort of had a kid. I was
Oh,
married for
okay.
17 years,
Hmm.
and we were kicking goals. We were the power couple. But unfortunately, some things sometimes don't work out. We were still kids.
Hmm.
We were still kids. We were growing up together and all that sort of stuff. And um, we have an amazing daughter together, and she's an amazing human being, man. And it keeps me grounded. But like one of my good mates passed away. He was like my little brother. My stepfather died. He was more like my dad than my real dad. My marriage fell apart. That's when the heavy drinking and depression kicked in, man. And, you know, we got divorced. And then I caught up with a mate of mine. I've been out of security for so long. And he goes, "Do you want to come as a doorman at Love Machine?" Okay. I started working at Love Machine. And look, for people who don't know Love Machine, it's sort of like it's very exclusive. It's on Chapel Street. A lot of who's there, especially a lot of people who can't get into the clubs in Sydney. The proppers. They're rocking up in Rolls Royces and stuff like that. And being the head door, so that everyone sort of wants to know you, and and then everyone's giving you handshakes with money and other stuff in it just to get in, and it's just a vicious cycle, man. It's a vicious, and that place is, it's I can talk about. It's been on the news, very well documented on the news, and I left just 3 months before the door got shot up. You know what I mean? And a few of my good mates died, so that's another one as well, man. You know what I mean? I said
Oh,
to them when I was leaving, just be careful. It's a bit dicey here at the moment. Just be careful. And I remember I spoke to one guy. He's a good bloke, man. He didn't deserve to. He didn't deserve to get killed, man. They shot him right in the face. You know what I mean?
wow.
Yeah. So I went to the funeral and everything, and yeah, yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah,
And
mate, for sure.
the counselling is just getting wasted in some penthouse apartment with the boys again. You know what I mean? Not dealing with stuff
Hmm.
and just
Yeah.
being angry again, suppressing your emotions, numbing yourself out, not
Yeah.
dealing with it.
Well, I
And
mean, you've just described the majority of the prison population, isn't it? You know what I mean? I
yeah,
mean, it's just a bunch of guys who haven't dealt with those inner traumas. You know what I mean? They haven't healed.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no way you're gonna speak about it.
I ended up in a club as a one percenter. That was some wild times. You know, there's some of the boys I absolutely miss, but they put me on NA for 2 years. You know what I mean? They
Okay,
put me
can
on
you
NA.
can you speak on at all about how you got involved in that world at all?
I was just partying with them to start off with because they used to get VIP booths. They used to get VIP booths, and we just clicked. We just clicked, man. And then I started going there, and yes and no. I always been around guys who were involved, but we had our own crew, and we did our thing and stuff like that. But yes and no. I was always around guys but I never did. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
I think when I was at my lowest of my little brothers died, my dad's died, my marriage fell apart. I was like, F the world and everyone in it. And that's when, you're just there partying, and I was offered something, and I said, all right. And then within a couple of months, the boys were acting weird. So being set up, or they were whispering and looking at me. I was like, what's going on? And then they said, oh, we've all voted. I don't think I'm getting booted. What do I do? And they said, you're now VP. I was like, what the? Like, when did this happen? And they just go, it is. And I was like, anyway. So yeah.
Wow. So I
I
mean, but
know.
that
Oh, don't
really
worry, I was saying wow as well. I was like, what the? I was like, hang on a minute. I was just want to sit on the bench. I want to be a bench warmer. I didn't ask for this, but what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
I mean, so you've gone into that scene, you've become vice president. I mean, how long from that moment till the day you got to the map? How long was how long was that? How long of a period was that?
About 2 years.
2 years.
About 2 years, and then if you Google my name, something happens. Um, um, there was a fire at one of my shops. They dramatized it like the media always does. Obviously Echo raided the place and they found a lot of stuff, which incriminated me. And they raided my house as well. When they used to raid the clubhouse, I had to go down there and open it. They go, well, they ring you. And they said, oh, you got 20 minutes to be here. I said, the clubhouse is 35 minutes away. They go, yeah, you got your AMG. Hurry up. You know what I mean? I'm like, because they're going to smash the doors in and all that sort of stuff and wreck the joint. So I'd make a record time to get down there. And
so what ended up happening, I think, in that news article so they say that there was a firebombing at one of your shops, or attempted firebombing.
Yeah.
And
then they just
then
raided the place and all that sort of stuff, and they found a lot of stuff, weapons and other paraphernalia and everything like that. And I think due to the fact of my affiliation and my rank, they made an example of me.
So how was it for you, man, getting taken in the derby? What, they take you back to St Kilda, or?
No, first Frankston, first Branger, and then the
Yeah,
submarine.
straight to the Maggies, huh?
Yeah, submarines. That's when you know that it's getting serious. You know what I mean? And
The
I
old
think
three
I mentioned on
cushions
my
in a
last one.
blanket.
Hey,
The old three cushions in a blanket.
exactly. Yeah, you're trying to carry these three cushions in a blanket, and you're just like, and it was freezing. It was Melbourne freezing, and I was like, and I was lucky enough. I got into the cell by myself because I said I'm not having anyone in the cell with me. I said I need to be in by myself, and yeah. And then when I was at the map, I reckon there was this one guy. I swear he was an undercover cop trying to talk to me.
Yeah.
He was trying to get information.
Yeah, bro. Yep. Yep. I've seen,
Because I
I've
was in
seen,
the
I've
holding
seen,
cell.
bro, I've seen that many boys get done just in the sub because they were talking to some bloke that they didn't know that was asking them questions, and he ended up being an undercover, bro. It's like
Yeah,
standard.
yeah. I answered nothing. Stuck to myself. You know
Yeah.
how everyone in the map looks a bit
Yeah, they're coming down,
rattled,
mate.
man. Rattled.
Yeah.
Half of them are there for AVOs, drunk and disorderly,
Exactly.
or what's it called? Drink driving and
Mm.
stuff like that. And
The
then there's
breach
the
of
guys who sit.
AVOs is huge in Melbourne, man. There's that many guys that come through for it. You know what I mean? Just for a text message, they'll throw them in jail.
Yeah, it is. It's over a text, man. And then these guys get baited into it, and then they go, oh, here you go. This is what he's done, and then see you later. You're in for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, it's
And
all money. It's all money for corrections, mate. It's all money for those private security firms.
don't. It's on the private. It's a private entity and it's on the
Yeah,
stock exchange.
yeah, I
You know,
know,
I did
bro.
the green
Crazy.
collar program. I did the green collar program because I did Cert 3 community services because I want to give back to the community
Well,
and change my ways. During COVID, I studied. I studied. I had all the, you know, a lot of people really, I got out, man. I saw the alcohol and drugs got worse during the
mm,
lockdown in Melbourne. Um, the depression and the anxiety. So I said, man, I can't slip into this, man. I came out so much tougher. You
mm.
know, I was training. I dropped 20 kilos in there.
Mm.
Um,
Well, before we go into you getting
yeah.
out, so I mean, yeah, how was your time inside, man? And waiting to go to court, and I mean, how long did you think you were going to be sitting in there before
I
then?
didn't think I was going to do. I didn't think I was going to do a year. I thought 3 months max. Um, it's obviously because of what I was. Because remember I told you I was inside with Peter.
Yeah,
Mate, he is such a super intelligent guy. He helped me so much, Peter Allen.
yeah, very
Um,
well known name in the Melbourne system.
yeah,
Been around for donkey's years, hasn't it? Been in the scene, mate.
yeah. He studied to be a QC. I said
Wow.
to him, I go, Peter, you are such an articulate guy. He wrote a letter to me to IBAC,
Well, you
for
meet a lot of good blokes in there, isn't
oh
it? You
bro,
know what
like
I mean? I mean,
yeah, like
my time in prison made me realize there are no bad blokes, mate. There's blokes that have done bad things, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? But
exactly.
man, yeah, if you're on the same page with them, mate, you get along like a house on fire.
There's some super intelligent guys in there, but sometimes they're like Lex Luthor. They use it for
Yeah,
the wrong.
exactly.
You know what I mean? But I learned how to make yogurt in there. This
Yeah,
Greek
me
guy
too.
taught me how to make yogurt. Yeah, and the milk and starter. So I used to make a yogurt, and we used to drink the whey. It was putrid.
Yeah.
It's putrid,
Oh,
man.
don't remind
Oh my
me.
god, it's that will get you going anyway.
Yeah.
And then we,
Hey, let
and then
me
I used
explain
to
that.
cook
Hey,
it.
let me explain that. So in jail, you can make yogurt in there and that. But what people do is as you make the yogurt, you've got to squeeze out the juice, and is it because people call it whey and stuff, and we
Well,
drink
it's curds and whey, so it's whey
it.
protein concentrate, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
curds and whey when you separate it. Just the simple little things, and I think we mentioned about the
Well, yeah, bro.
Nicorette,
When I was there,
the
man,
nicotine patches.
the nicotine patches, tobacco. That's the first thing you'll get hit up once you get off that bus, mate, is for your patch.
Because they go to me, like one guy goes to me like that, and I go, no, man, I'm not on the hammer because I thought he was still there. And he goes, no, 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 the patch, the patch. I said, what? I said, patch. I go, nah, nah. I should have grabbed it. I didn't realize. But anyway,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then when they locked us down, like even I think I mentioned to you during COVID, they had full hazmat suits and stuff like that. Some of the guys who weren't really struggling with their mental health, um, at least 20, 30 guys in every unit tried to commit suicide. Those plastic chairs you got in front of your computer? They were smashing that to pieces to get shards of plastic to cut their wrists. I've never seen like cells turned up like that. Um, the yelling and screaming because they let us out every 3 days for 5 minutes.
So this is during COVID and stuff. So you were locked up during that time, wasn't it? So you're only
Well,
getting
they
out
just
three.
locked us straight away. 2 weeks, 2 weeks in the pokey basically, and you've done nothing wrong. But the first time you ever been inside, and it's like, man, at least let us out 1 hour a day. Like it's the Geneva Convention even says that. The guys were turning one, and like I think I mentioned to you the cereal in those plastic bags, like the green grocer ones. you get 3 Wheat Bix and your 600 ml milk, or if you want cornflakes, it's cornflakes. The guys were suffocating themselves with the plastic bag to get out. That's how bad it was, and it's going to be in my tell-all book. I'm not trying to preach to anyone, but I hadn't prayed in 30 years, and for the first time, man, at your darkest times, sometimes, like I remember, bro, when you said to what's his name, Vince from
Mogarelli.
yeah, what a story, bro. It broke my. I'll be honest with you, I was in tears when I watched it, man. Word, that's man enough to admit that. You got to be heartless to not, yeah. But like when you said, I really reflected, when you said to him that sometimes you have to be broken to be put back together and really see what makes you tick and what makes you happy. And when you're going from a Louis Vuitton bag to a plastic garbage bag, then you get a reality check. And what's it worth? What's it worth? You know what I mean? And I read the Quran when I was in there. I was with a lot of the Muslim brothers. But Jesus was always in my life ever since I was a young kid. And they even recognize him as a prophet. I became a born-again Christian. I got baptized when I got out.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, when I got the speech I gave at the church, man, it went viral. And my little girl was there. She got to see it,
wow.
and a lot of in our area, there's a lot of kids that are out of control, man, to say the least. And it seems like the girls are getting worse than the guys.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, true.
They've been actually more ruthless than the boys.
But that
the
goes
girls are more staunch now than the guys.
because they're feminizing men, mate. You know, men society,
Don't
and
get me
they yeah,
Don't get me started.
bro.
The PSI of a handshake of a boy now is less than a girl. You go to the gym, word, I'm serious.
Oh my God.
I'm serious.
So during your time in prison, like you said, you were still club affiliated. You're looking after the boys. You're getting around with a lot of heavies in there. I mean, when did your mentality change where you were starting to think, well, hey, maybe this isn't what I want? Was that as soon as you got to prison, or was that over time, or
no? At the tail end, almost at the tail end, when I was in at the start, when I got bail denied 3 times, and I spent like eight grand per bail app to get out for my daughter's birthday, Father's Day, and stuff like that. And they gave me hope, gave them another 8-9 grand, and it was come back in 2 weeks, bail denied, bail denied. I went in a real dark space, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm not proud to say I put a lot of guys in, made them buzz up. I'll be honest with you. I was not in a good place, man. I'm disappointed in myself. But it were guys who were bullying, picking on other people who couldn't defend themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of, and I got into an angry state, man. I got into an angry state, and it was because I hadn't seen my daughter in a year, man, and that killed me. I didn't want a photo of her and stuff in there, and I spoke to her on the phone every day, but you can just hear them listening to you. You know how it is, man, and it's heartbreaking. I was a stay-at-home dad for 4 years when I went back to study when I was, you know what I mean? So I used to do school runs, pickups, and all that sort of stuff, and with her, and that's why we got an amazing bond. I was doing personal training from home. I was training a lot of people with weights, and then I was doing a lot of mixed martial arts at that time. I stopped all the bodybuilding and I trained in mixed martial arts for about 6 years, and a lot of grappling and jiu-jitsu, and I trained with Lior Ovenbach, who's Israeli Special Forces, because I thought if I'm doing bodyguarding in Chinatown, I need to know if someone pulls a knife on me because I've been stabbed before. It's not nice. I ended up in hospital and just missed my liver, and I was in an MRI machine and all that sort of stuff. And it's not a nice, not a nice feeling being stabbed, man. It's a very vulnerable state. We need time to reflect and assess where we're at. You know what I mean? And you know, I won't mention the name, but that very good friend of mine inside, he died 3 times.
Wow.
Well, I'll be honest with you, he'd been shot 10 times and he lived, but he died 3 times. And he told me the full story, and he said there's something after this. He's seen it. You know what I mean? And he goes, when you want to give up, you will. And it's, you know, that made me like,
Oh, that's powerful.
yeah, 100%, man. Like it's massively powerful that there is something after this, and some people might disagree, but how can you argue with a guy who's, you know, he died 3 times and they revived him? Well, you know, not everyone does, and I think, like I say, I'm not trying to preach. Having some faith massively can, you know, release that burden off your shoulders. And
Bro, how was it getting out of prison on the straight and narrow, man, and sort of leaving your previous life behind? How was that for you?
it was hard because obviously I was on NA. If I bumped into anyone, I'd go straight back in and do my full whack, and then they would have given me the other thing as well, which Peter reckons I could have done, I don't know, about 4 to 6 on that as well. I've set my own business up again. I've got my own ABN number. I'm on the tools. I'm only making $1,800 a week, not 5G a day. But I don't have to worry someone's going to kick the door in. You know what I mean? And when you were inside and you learn how to ration, sometimes, man, I still am doing some of the stuff from inside. It's cooked, eh?
Well, I mean, man, after getting out of prison and stuff, how was it getting baptized, man? How was that experience for you?
That was surreal. Always wanted to do it, but then I sort of just went down a stupid path.
Yeah.
And then now, I was doing, counseling. Unfortunately, my mental health was suffering a bit, but I'd still work, do some food bank kitchens and stuff like that, and you've got the cars, the money, the jewelry, the this and that, and I think that it's such a good thing, but I would have given anything to have the inner peace I have now. I was suffering such bad anxiety then. I was on a lot of Xanax and stuff like that as well. I don't need that stuff anymore because I got inner peace. And I would have given any of that to have the peace I have now. You know what I mean? And like you said, bro, sometimes you got to just break down to reset. And I really reflected to that. It was watching you guys talk as well. It was, it just reinforced what I'm trying to do and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to preach. You know what I mean? Well, preach, but if you can help one young guy who thinks it's great, learn from us, man. Learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, 100%, man. Is there saying, man, like a stupid person doesn't learn from his mistakes. An average person learns from his mistakes, but a smart man learns from other people's mistakes. So that's the best way, But look,
100%.
man, brother Zoltan, it's been an absolute pleasure to having you on the show, bro. We're sort of coming towards the end here. I
Yeah.
mean, bro, look, do you have any advice, man, for any brothers and sisters that are getting out of jail, man, or are sitting on the fence of they don't know what they want to do and things, man? Do you got any messages or anything like that?
One day at a time. One day at a time. Bro, one day at a time. And because when when I was doing what I was doing, I was always trying to get more and more and more, and that created that anxiety and putting yourself under too much pressure. We got enough pressure from everyday life, the cost of living, the family unit being destroyed and all that sort of stuff. Just slow down, breathe, do some meditation, and even if you finding it hard to get a job, do some studying and
Mm.
use your brain. That's why when I got out of COVID, everyone was just drinking and smoking and just losing their mind. I did a little bit of that as well to release the pressure cooker, but do some studying, better yourself, use the brain. It's like a muscle. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Don't let them put you in your mind into a prison as well. You know what I mean? And it makes you feel good about yourself. It's that reward system. And you just, no one can ever take that away from you. Once you've got a couple of diplomas and stuff like that, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It is what it is. But no one can, and it make you feel proud about yourself, man. And when you got that, those endorphins going, you're less likely to do irrational, stupid behavior because let's face it, especially as I hate to say, as men, we need that. We're being told not to be a man as enough. I go hunting, I go fishing.
Mm.
I just went to the snow recently. I went 4-wheel driving in my fully tricked out Land Cruiser, and I just go in the bush and I hunt. I go bow hunting.
Yeah, man, that's
Um,
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
for
bro. I
sure.
love my fishing. I love my
Yeah,
spear fishing,
yeah.
and just being a man. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
like, I love to come to NZ, bro. You guys have
Bro,
got the
you're
best
like,
fishing.
yeah, nah, bro, we'll go
Word.
hunting here, mate. We'll
Yeah.
do some pig
Really?
hunting, mate, if you ever come here. Yeah, no, for sure, bro. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
word. Yeah. And I love
Mm.
my Manuka honey, bro. Word. How good
Yeah.
is it? I
Yeah.
got some for my sore throat. It cleans it up big time.
Oh, yeah, honey's the best disinfectant,
Yeah.
better than anything you'll
Yeah.
buy in the pharmacy. Yeah, no,
Oh,
for sure.
forget about it. It makes it worse.
Yeah. Well,
That's
look,
another
bro.
podcast, bro.
Yeah. Oh man, look, I've actually really enjoyed this interview, man. It's been awesome having you on, man. And bro, like you just said, take a day at a time. Take it a day at a time. I mean, man, I've tripped a few times, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong in this journey. But I just you got to learn to take it easy on yourself. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to look at your life and really evaluate where you've come from to see how far you've gotten. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna trip up, mate. You know what I mean? But it's nothing it's nothing to condemn yourself over or anything like that. You know what I mean? Just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. You know?
One day at a time, man. One day at a
Yeah.
time. Like, even like just recently, like I said, with the green collar program, it didn't work out. I went through a bit of a depression stage and I've started feeling sorry for myself. And
Mm.
we're only human, man. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how big you are and you were this, you were that. And then we all got hearts. We all got, sensitive minds. And the inner child comes out again because you're being let down. But
Yeah.
don't let that break you. Just once, and just get out of even just a little thing
Mm.
every day makes such a
Yeah.
difference. And people's mental health. We got enough dramas
Yeah.
on our plate these days, let alone you know complicating things even more.
Well, look,
Yeah,
man, again, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, brother. And
cheers,
man, we'll talk soon, my bro.
on you, mate.
On your brother.